Hello, my name is Diana Britton. I'm the executive editor at wealthmanagement.com. I recently won a journalism award, the Jesse H. Neal Award, for best podcast, for my podcast, The Healthy Advisor. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. What inspired you to start The Healthy Advisor 6 years ago? So when I launched this podcast in 2019, I was looking out at the coverage of the wealth management industry, and I saw that a lot of it was focused on professional development, like practice management. How do you do M&A, prospecting, marketing? There was not a lot focused on personal development for financial advisors. And about a decade ago, Dr. Alden Cass, a Manhattan-based clinical psychologist and sales coach, conducted a study and found that financial services professionals and financial advisors are more prone to burnout, obesity, and addiction than professionals in other industries. And a lot of that comes out of that kind of eat what you kill mentality that's really prevalent in the industry. And so I really wanted to dig deeper. What went through your mind when you learned The Healthy Advisor won the Jesse H. Neal Award? I was initially in shock because I really didn't expect to win. I thought it was just going to be another day that I was just going to go about my business. When the reality kind of set in, it was pure joy. I was so happy. My husband works in our garage, and so I immediately ran into the garage. I wasn't at the award ceremony. I was working from home, but I immediately ran into the garage when I found out he was on a call, but I just yelled out, "I won!" with my arms up in the air. He took me out for a nice celebratory lunch. And then, we had some champagne with friends later that evening to celebrate. What does this recognition mean to you personally and for the broader conversation around mental health in wealth management? My goal when I launched this podcast was really to bring mental health and well-being issues in the wealth management industry to the forefront. At that time, there wasn't a whole lot of conversation. There wasn't much conversation at all about these issues in the wealth management and financial services industry. It was a lot of just kind of brushing these issues under the rug. And I really thought that with this podcast that it could bring these issues to light and just start that broader conversation. And I think that this award is really testament to the fact that this has started a conversation and brought a lot of these issues to the forefront. My hope is that folks will listen to these stories, listen to these personal struggles that people have, and relate to them and be able to find healing and support in listening to other people's stories. So that's kind of what this means to me personally. You gave ProudMouth and Bill Tucker a shout out. What has working with us meant to you as a host and storyteller? Everything goes smoothly with Bill. He is a great producer. I really feel like he's part of my team when we get on recordings with guests. He helps make my guests feel so comfortable and relaxed. And that's really key when folks are discussing some of the hardest moments of their lives. At the end of the recordings, he always makes sure to comment on their story and let them know that they did a great job, and reassure them that their story is going to resonate with our audience. And he really puts me at ease too. He's very friendly and casual. And I think that just puts everyone at ease when we do the recordings. How has having a team behind you helped you focus on the message and guests? ProudMouth does a lot of the work behind the scenes to get the podcast recorded, produced, and cleaned up so that I can focus on my job as a journalist, which is asking the right questions, understanding the person's story, and really uncovering the big issues around mental health and well-being so that the podcast can have the greatest impact on my listeners. What's next for The Healthy Advisor? Any new directions or goals on the horizon? I'd love to use the podcast to start a broader conversation about mental health and well-being in the wealth management industry and bring some of the big issues out into the open.